Obviously, with the CBR going down last week, there's a lot of anxiety on when banks are going to lower rates. But two important points. Even before the CBR was lowered, banks were lowering interest rates. If you would recall, a number of banks actually dropped their interest rates during the month of May and the month of June. And this is just in recognition of the changes of the dynamics within the banking sector. However, what tends to happen in practice is whether the change in base rates tends to happen at the start of the next month. So if I find it quite amusing that a lot of the commentators said the rates should go down now, when actually when the rates were being increased, they were increased at the first of the following month. So I expect, and I can't speak for the various banks, but I expect that you should see an adjustment in the base rates around about the end of this month or the beginning of next month. The restructuring process that the banks put in place to alleviate the general public from high interest rates does not change, because a high interest rate did not mean 18% CBR. It just meant the high interest rate environment. And until we get to a point where the rates become affordable in the eyes of the client, the restructuring proposition still remains.
For the effects of competition to work, the market needs to have information on who is providing what. And I think one of the proposals that was put forth and agreed to by the banks was for us to have a mechanism of disclosing the interest rates. Now, one of the things that came up was, what do you disclose? Because when you disclose, for example, the base rate for a bank, and one bank is having a base rate of 16, and another bank is having a base rate of 18, does it mean that the bank with 16 is a cheaper one, and therefore the one to go for? Or is it the one with 18? A lot depends on what other charges are attached to the facility other than just the interest rate. In other words, the interest rate does not disclose all. So we had to come up with a mechanism where we can, a measure that can be all-inclusive, that takes not only the interest but the total cost of providing the service, because that's what really the consumer perceives. And so a number of proposals have been put forth. We are still working on an effective number that would be applicable to the whole industry and therefore disclosable to the market. However, in addition to that, there were some amendments that were put through the Finance Bill 2012, which effectively required the central bank to disclose information that is received from the commercial banks. Now, central bank is trying to lay down the framework for that disclosure, because other than just what was put in the finance bill, there's quite a bit of detail that needs to be put up in terms of the structure and how to do the disclosure so that it's as informative to the consumer as possible, because this information will be splitting down into the individual banks. But you realize that the information may be more confusing to the consumer if it's not clearly spelled out and clearly informative to the consumer. So that's where we are.